Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Legends video. So based on my previous videos, a lot of people seem to enjoy my top 5 list, whether it's for entertainment, maybe for educational purposes, or a mix of the two. And just overall get better insight as to what champions currently are the strongest in a specific role or maybe specific types of champions. And this video will be finally revisiting that top 5 assassin list, one that I used to do quite frequently but have not updated for quite some time. But not only am I thinking about bringing this back, but I also want to change up the format, hopefully for the better. Instead of talking only about the mid lane, I want to list 5 assassins that could be from any role, so mid lane, top lane, or the jungle. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this, and if you enjoy this idea or think this is a better way to do it, then let me know by hitting the like button. This video will be made in collaboration with ProGuides, a very familiar name, but a very good one at that. I will have a link down below to their site, highly recommend checking it out and maybe starting a free trial. They also have a cool feature where you can talk to a high level player almost at any given time. Again, the link will be in the description below. But with everything else out of the way, let's get right into the top 5 assassins and starting things off with the number 5. Here we're going to be talking about Akali, a champion that I feel like many people may have not expected to see, but after looking at statistics and overall from my own point of view, I have to say she really isn't all that bad. The beautiful thing about Akali is that she is somewhat of a flex pick because you can go either mid lane or you can go in the top lane. Now I have to say top lane probably is going to be overall a little bit better for the champion because you can actually trade with most of the champions you're facing before level 6, but mid lane can work just as well. Now even though Akali did get nerfed several patches ago where she can no longer proc her Q ability with her E, which was a pretty big hit, she is very good right now mainly because of the change that happened to Gunblade. This item now just synergizes even better with Akali because Spellvamp is just flat out removed from League of Legends, and the base damage on this item is just so much higher that the second you actually finish it and rush it as your first item, you can probably 100 to 0 the person you're laning against with a full combo post level 6. It truly is an insane amount of damage, and you can stick onto a squishy target like the targets you're supposed to be killing the backline very easily thanks to the Gunblade's active effect being also very long range and your ultimate stacks being 3. But on top of all of this and her laning phase, even though it's not the best, it really isn't the worst thing in the world, she can also be played into the meta because you can build maybe 2 or 3 damage items, for instance the Gunblade, which obviously gives you a lot of life back based on your abilities and the way it activates on Akali, but you'll also be going something maybe like an Abyssal Scepter, maybe like a Zhonya's, both items that give a lot of AP but also give a fair number of defensive stats, and following that you'll be getting primarily defensive items. So not only are you doing a lot of damage, not only do you have a lot of stick potential, but you're also very tanky and you fit the meta pretty well. So if you're just itching to play assassins in the current meta, Akali is not a bad option. And to help you out even further, here are my recommended items, runes, and masteries when playing the Akali. Again, when I do these ones for this video, I'll be trying to include masteries and build and all that stuff that can be played in both roles. So in this case, mid lane and top lane. Because everything you see here can be played in both of these roles to pretty good success, and that's a pretty cool thing. But let's move into champion number 4, Yasuo. Now Yasuo isn't necessarily the most overpowered champion in the world at the very moment, but he's definitely not the weakest. Like I said several times, whenever I make these lists, I always make it a combination of my personal opinion while also looking at statistics and just overall what is working across all the regions. And Yasuo's stats, I have to say, were surprisingly quite good, or at least a lot better than I expected them to be. Now Yasuo, as I'm sure most of you know by now, if you watched my 4 best Yasuo builds with Arca data a few weeks ago, he has several builds that can be played to success whether you're playing him in the mid lane or in the top lane. So if you want a video going in depth on all of the strong Yasuo builds for mid lane and top lane in the current meta, highly recommend checking out that video. But again, top lane Yasuo, mid lane Yasuo, both have different playstyles, both are quite effective. Do you want to be somewhat of a tanky champion? You can play Frozen Mallet and Trinity Force Yasuo in the top lane. Do you want to play more of an assassin type Yasuo? Well, go in the mid lane. Go Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge into Bloodthirster, or maybe you can go Static Shiv, Infinity Edge, and Bloodthirster. Or you can even go Trinity Force with a Static Shiv or Phantom Dancer into an Infinity Edge with a Bloodthirster as well for the mid lane. Again, plenty of different options, all of them being quite strong, and the mid lane options specifically are very assassin type focused. All in all, he can just definitely fit into the current meta because again, you can play him as a tanky bruiser in the top lane, you can play him as assassin in the mid lane, which fits the theme of this video. He's surprisingly not that bad in this current meta, even though you would think he wouldn't be that good. His stats are quite well. I personally enjoy playing him. He's a good pick, he's fun to play, you should definitely try him out, but keep in mind that he's not necessarily overpowered. But if you do decide to play him, then here are my recommended items, runes, and masteries specifically for the mid lane. Again, there are several ways you can build this champion, and if you want to have a true in-depth look at the Yasuo builds, then definitely make sure to check out that Yasuo video I mentioned earlier. But taking the number 3 spot is going to be LeBlanc. Now this champion, I have to say, is somewhat infamous, but she is only a mid laner. Unlike the previous 2 examples, you can't really take her into other lanes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The home of assassin champions tends to be the mid lane, so she fits in quite well. But looking again at the statistics and even asking other people for their opinions, LeBlanc seemed to be quite an agreed upon champion that is just not that bad in the current meta, because, well, what do you face in the mid lane? You're facing champions like Swain, you're facing champions like Anivia, you're facing champions like Vladimir. All of these guys are immobile, and most of them can be countered with a Morellonomicon, which is a core item in LeBlanc's kit. But then following that, LeBlanc is probably one of the few champions that can actually abuse these guys in the laning phase, the part where they're probably the weakest. She also has a lot of roaming potential, something that these champions clearly do not, so she can easily snowball the lane, maybe push it in under the tower, and then go to other lanes and make things happen there as well. She just overall seems to be a decent champion for the current meta, not the most overpowered thing in the entire world, but in a pretty good spot. However, on top of everything else, a lot of the current ADC champions that are popular, maybe like Ashe or Misfortune, well, they're very immobile as well. They can't really escape LeBlanc, especially when she's double dashing onto their face and bursting them down. If their flash is on cooldown and their support is maybe not someone that can just instantly stop LeBlanc, they're probably gonna die. LeBlanc is probably gonna have an easy time to do her job, and all in all, that should probably work out in LeBlanc's favor quite well. So if you decide to play this champion that a lot of people will be tilted just even facing in the mid lane, then here's my recommended build when playing this champion. Again, Abyssal Scepter is fantastic, Morellonomicon being quite core as well. That's 30% CDR, and you can easily get 40% from Azania's and or the blue buff. But your goal overall is just to abuse these champions in the laning phase before they get to the point where they just do not die. But let's not waste time and go right into the number 2 spot, where we're gonna be seeing Tiltosaurus Rex himself, Fizz. This one is going to be more of a personal opinion rather than looking straight at statistics, because looking at the statistics, his win rate isn't necessarily the highest thing in the world, but he does have a very high pick rate. But personally, I mean, I absolutely despise facing this champion, and especially in the very current meta as it is, because you can go Fizz mid lane, you can go Fizz top lane as a bruiser, you can go Fizz top lane as a tanky champion. He just feels so flexible at the very moment. It's not fun to deal with him, especially if he gets ahead. This guy is pretty much the melee version of LeBlanc. You don't want him ahead, you don't want LeBlanc ahead. Why? Because they'll not only kill you in a couple of seconds, but they're very hard to stop. Now, I've talked about Fizz several times in my videos in the past maybe week or two, giving you guys several different build options, one of them being the Bruiser Triforce. Another time I talked about the tanky top laner build, and this time we'll be going over to the mid lane. So there's one really big thing that I really like about Fizz at the very moment, one that actually makes him not as bad in the laning phase as he usually is. So first and foremost, you want to start the game by going the Corrupting Potion, but the most important thing is the fact that you do not go Ignite anymore. In fact, when you go mid lane, you go Flash and Teleport. The reason for this is quite simple. Fizz is known to have a very poor laning phase up until level 6, at which he kind of flips his switch and suddenly he can 100 to O you if you overstep or just underestimate him. So going the Corrupting Potion not only helps you trade a bit when you have to, but it gives you essentially unlimited potions, and the Summoner Teleport will help you go back to base, heal up, and instantly get back into the laning phase, missing minimal or even no experience or CS. This helps you get past the laning phase much easier and much smoother, and it'll get you to the point you want to be much better. If you're ever facing a Swain or Vladimir or whatever, I mean, you can even go Morellonomicon on Fizz, get that reduction going for the healing, and probably destroy them. But the thing about Fizz is the fact that with Abyssal Scepter and a Lich Bane, chances are your damage with your ultimate is probably going to be enough burst damage to kill them even when they're trying to sustain themselves up. So I mean, Fizz just doing an abundance of damage, still being probably the #1 most tilting champion in League of Legends, and if you want to win your game, then this champion is a pretty good option. But moving into the final #1 champion of the top 5 assassins list for patch 6.12, we're going all the way into the jungle, and we're talking about Kha'Zix. A lot of people have agreed with me that Kha'Zix has to be the #1 assassin at the very moment. I mean, this guy is just a powerhouse. His isolation damage is still just as ridiculous as ever. He can absolutely annihilate almost every single champion in the current meta. Whether you want to heal or not, it doesn't really matter. If you're by yourself, you're probably gonna die. He's pretty good when it comes to clearing the jungle. Ever since the buffs to his Q and W several patches ago, I mean, he's just been a very strong champion. The nerf of Runic Echo has also made Kha'Zix indirectly stronger, and Cinderhulk is not yet a very popular jungle item, so Kha'Zix looking quite good, looking like a dominant champion, can annihilate people, has fantastic ganks. I mean, there's just so much to say about this guy. Whenever I play jungle and whenever I play Kha'Zix, I just feel like I'm at home. I mean, I'm not really a jungler, but this champion is just fantastic. I mean, he's an assassin. I love playing them. He does a lot of damage. He's not all that difficult to play. He's got solid combos with his kit overall and how he utilizes certain items. I mean, it's just a blast to play him. He's a lot of fun. He's strong. He's definitely the best assassin at the very moment. No question about it. And if you listen to my advice and you play Kha'Zix in the jungle, then here's my overall recommended build. Maul Malmortius is going to be a very good item in probably most of your games, but if for whatever reason it's not based on the enemy team comp, you can easily get something like a Dustblade or even a Hydra. You also want to make sure you evolve your Q first, followed by your E, and other than that, it doesn't really matter too much as to what you do. Now, just before we end off this video, there are two quick honorable mentions, the first of which being Diana. Her laning phase is pretty much equal to Akali's in the fact that it's really not that amazing, but she also power spikes heavily at level 6. But my only concern is the fact that I honestly feel like Akali, just with the Gunblade and how it works, is better. So if I were to disinclude Akali, Diana would probably take her place, but I have to say Akali, in my honest opinion, is just slightly better. And then we have Zed. I'm sure a champion a lot of people are wondering where the hell is he. His win rate is absolutely abysmal. It's 46%. That is just disgustingly low. He's not necessarily a bad champion at the very moment, but he's definitely not in his peak anymore. I personally still play him. I like him. I have fun with him. He still works for me, but I am a little bit scared to just flat out recommend to play him, especially in a top 5 assassin list, because he will take quite a finesse to make him work. Overall, if you're a Zed one-trick pony or you're someone that's experienced with Zed, yeah, play him. He'll probably work out for you. If you're someone that's kind of still learning him, there's probably better options. But other than that, there you guys have it, the top 5 assassins for patch 6.12, including every single potential role. If you guys did enjoy this new format for this top 5 assassin list, then let me know by hitting the like button down below and leaving a comment. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you check out my other videos as well, but I truly thank each and every one of you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace.